believe Fred Sr.'s assets were transferred in contravention of Fred Sr.'s wishes, and Fred Jr. would have been Fred Sr.'s heir to some or all of his assets.
Thank you. Now, you also gave a statement to the Commission of Inquiry, which you signed this morning, February 1, 2021.
Yes, sir.
Now, before I go into that, take you to that statement, you make this claim on behalf of Fred Hendrickson. However, your name is Justin Robinson. Can you just
Correct.
explain what's the name of your father?
My father was Fred Robinson. His mother was Margaret Robinson. He changed his name to Fred Hendrickson in his younger years and changed it back to Fred Robinson, and I was given that last name.
Okay, thank you. Now, in respect of the statement that you gave to the Commission of Inquiry, which you signed February 1, 2021, that statement, which consists of 5 pages, you would recognize your signature if you see it, sir?
Yes, sir.
Is that the statement you signed consisting of 5 pages, sir?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'm going to ask that the document consisting of 5 pages, a witness statement of Justin Robinson, dated February 1, 2021, I'd ask that it be tendered and admitted as Exhibit JR2.
The statement consisting of 5 pages signed by Mr. Justin Robinson on the 1st of February 2021 is hereby entered as JR2.
Thank you very much. Now, sir, could you read that statement for us? And take your time. And you can have a bit of water if you wish at any time.
Okay. Witness statement of Justin Robinson on behalf of Fred Hendrickson Jr. I, Justin Robinson of 8 Tribe Road, Devonshire, DVO 1, will say as follows. 1. I present this claim on behalf of my father, Fred Hendrickson Jr., who passed prior to my grandfather, Fred Hendrickson Sr. 2. Fred Hendrickson Sr. had one son, Fred Hendrickson Jr., Nee Robinson. Point 3. In 1954, my grandfather married Etoy Blakeney, thus gaining 2 stepdaughters, Carolyn Farbett and Albertha Rosetta Harris, Nee Green. Fred Jr. had a massive stroke in February 1987. Taking him 10 years to recover.
Take your time. We have all day. Don't worry. Take your time. Take your time. When you're ready, you can start again. Don't rush.
I apologize.
Oh, that's fine. Just take a few moments. And a deep breath, and we'll start again shortly.
Fred Jr. had a massive stroke in February 1987, taking him 10 years to recover. For several years, he is unable to communicate due to his speech impediments and unable to use his right arm or walk properly. Prior to his stroke, he and Fred Sr. were in business together. They had an ongoing relationship. Point 5, it is my understanding, Carol Ann, and Alberta conspired to take possession of my grandfather's estate against his will. Point 6. My grandfather acquired several properties in Bermuda as well as the United States. To my knowledge, the properties in question are 138 Clarendon Road, Bermuda, 2 8 Town Hill, Bermuda, 3 16 Town Hill, Bermuda, 4 29 Dundonald Street, Bermuda, 5 1020 Autumn Harvest Drive, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 6 908 Pecan Point Road, Virginia Beach, 7 775 Whitehurst Landing Road, Virginia Beach. Point 7. With regard to the power of attorney affected over Fred Sr.'s estate, the first prepared on March 30th, 1999, appointed Shirley Richardson, Fred Sr.'s sister-in-law. Point 8. On August 6, 2003, a power of attorney was prepared appointing Carol Ann Furbett and Alberta Rosetta Harris, revoking the previous. Point 9. About 2 months later, in 2003, there was a power of attorney prepared by Wakefield Quinn on October 15, 2003, giving power of attorney to Betty Hendrickson Birch, Fred Sr.'s niece, revoking the previous one done on August 6, 2003, appointing Carol Ann and Alberta. Point 10. About 7 months later, in 2004, a power of attorney prepared in Virginia Beach, Virginia, by a Barbara Gibbons Creed, stepdaughter's cousin, on May 23, 2004, giving power of attorney back to Carol Ann and Alberta. It was registered in Bermuda on November 15, 2004. Point 11. Sometime in 2012, Fred Sr. and Carol Ann had an argument that resulted in the police being called, and Fred Sr. was arrested from his property. Point 12. It is my understanding that during this time, my grandfather may have been showing signs of early dementia. Point 13. It is to my knowledge that due to my grandfather developing dementia, both Carol Ann and Alberta had my grandfather, Fred Hendrickson Sr., admitted into the Mid-Atlantic Wellness Institute, Maui. Point 14. Carol Ann and Alberta attempted to have my grandfather admitted to Maui permanently. Point 15. After assessments were carried out on my grandfather, Maui confirmed he was fit to return home. Instead, Fred Sr. was told that he could not return to his property. Point 16. His stepdaughters, Carol Ann and Alberta, placed Fred Hendrickson Sr. in Alderker Rest in Devonshire. Point 17. During my father's final year, there were multiple efforts to keep him from contacting his father. Point 18. For the record, when Fred Sr. was admitted to the Alderker Rest Home, my family and I, on several occasions, attempted to visit. However, the supervisor, Ms. Trott, denied us. We were told that access was only to be given to Carol Ann and Alberta. Point 19. My father, Fred Jr., passed on August 22nd, 2012. Point 20. 4 months before the passing of Fred Jr., 3 letters were prepared by Dennis Dwyer. The first was the Alderker Rest Home facility, expressing my family and I's concerns that my grandfather had been left there and advising them that the power of attorney that was being used by Carol Ann was invalid. The second was to the Registry General to question the power of attorney for Carol Ann that was prepared in Virginia, which referred to my grandfather's business and his 3 homes in Virginia.
And just before you go any further, Mr. Robinson, you said there were 3 letters. The third is a letter to the Legal Aid Office written by Wakefield Quinn.
Correct.
Okay. You may continue, sir.
Point 21. Fred Sr. and Jr. had a good relationship prior to their passing. In a conversation I was present for, my grandfather promised my father that he would gift him significant funds, demonstrating his intent to support his son.
Just a minute before you go further. You said that you were present during this conversation. About how old were you then?
I was about 26.
And where did this conversation take place?
In one of his apartments, in flats.
Okay, thank you. You may continue.
22.22. My grandfather passed on the 7th of November 2012, just a few months after my father. 23. During the instigation of this claim, I was advised to check with the Registry General to confirm whether Carol Ann and Alberta had been legally adopted. I was informed there were no such adoption records. 24. There may be 1 or more properties that have not been referred in my statement. Should further information become available, I would like the opportunity to share this information with the commissioners at a later date. 25. I, Justin Robinson, for the purpose of giving evidence to the Commission of Inquiry into historic losses of land in Bermuda, intend to rely on the following documents.
No. I'll take you through that.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, the documents you intend to rely on, which are listed, the documents which are listed in your statement, just going to take you through them one by one. Madam Chair, we already have JW1, which is the application made. That document has been tendered and admitted as an exhibit. You made mention, Mr. Robinson, to a power of attorney dated 6 August 2003.
Yes.
Is that the document that you referred to, sir? Power of
Yes.
attorney dated 6 August 2003?
Yes.
Okay. I'd ask that that document be tendered and admitted. And just before going further, you supplied that document to the Commission of Inquiry?
Yes.
I'd ask that that document, power of attorney dated 6 August 2003, that is tendered and admitted as Exhibit JR3.
Is it JR? Yes. The document, power of attorney, dated the 6th August 2003, is hereby entered as Exhibit JR3.
Could I just ask you, could you just read the first 2 paragraphs for us on that document?
By this power of attorney given on the 6th day of August 2003, I, Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, of 38 Clarendon Road, Hamilton Parish, FL04, in the Isles of Bermuda, sends greetings. Whereas I am desirous of appointing my daughters, Caroline Louise Ferbert of Smith's Parish in these said Isles, and Alberta Rosetta Harris of Comberg in the province of Ontario, in the Dominion of Canada, and presently residing at Grove Annex, 8 Town O'Neill Road, Smith's Parish, FL07, in these said islands, as my attorneys for the purpose hereinafter appearing. Now this deed witness that I, the said Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, do hereby revoke the power of attorney dated the 30th day of March 1999, duly recorded and registered in the office of the Registry General in the Book of Deeds, number 196, at pages 81 through 83, and thereby appointing Shirley Richardson, my power of attorney, and do now appoint the said Alberta Harris and Caroline Louise Ferbert, my true and lawful attorneys for me, and in my name to do the following acts and things of any of them that is to say.
Thank you. Now, could you just remind us, in respect of the names Alberta Harris and Caroline Louise Ferbert, who are they? Can you say? They are the stepdaughters.
They are the stepdaughters of my grandfather.
And you had mentioned earlier that when your grandfather had married, these ladies became his stepdaughters, correct?
Yes,
That's
my
right.
grandfather married Etoy Blakeney.
Thank you. Now, you also mentioned, well, in your list, your description of documents that you wish to place reliance on. You have then made reference to power of attorney dated 15th October 2003.
Yes.
Is that the document, the power of attorney dated 15th October 2003 that you supplied to the Commission of Inquiry
Yes.
and which you wish to place reliance on?
Yes.
I'd ask that that document, Madam Chair, is tender admitted as Exhibit PJR4.
The power of attorney dated the 15th of October 2003 is hereby entered as Exhibit JR4.
Could I ask you to read the first 3 paragraphs of that document for me, please, sir?
A power of attorney given on the 15th day of October 2003 by me, Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, of 38 Clarendon Road, Hamilton Parish, FL04, in the islands of Bermuda. Whereas I have requested that Betty Ravine Hendrickson Birch of 110 North Shore Road, Devonshire Parish, FL03, in the said Isles, to act for me in my affairs from this day forth, which my attorney has consented to do. And whereas I am desirous of appointing the said Betty Ravine Hendrickson Birch as my true and lawful attorney to carry out the powers and authorizations contained herein at all times unless such powers of authorizations are revoked by me. And whereas I am also desirous of having the said power effective and exercisable during any subsequent legal incapacity so that this power of attorney will be enduring.
And could you just read the following paragraph?
Now this deed witness that I, the said Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, hereby appoint the said Betty Ravine Hendrickson Birch as my true and lawful attorney during such times as aforesaid from this day forth to do the following.
No, thank you. Could I just ask you to go to the third page of that document and read what appears on the third page? Or the last page? No, could you turn again? What, is it that last page?
Okay. Revocation. I, Frederick Leonard Henderson, of 38 Clarendon Road, Hamilton Parish, FL 04, in the Isles of Bermuda, do hereby revoke the power of attorney made on the 6th of August, 2003, appointing Caroline Louise Ferret and Alberta Rosetta Harris as my true and lawful attorneys. Dated this 15th day of October, 2003.
Now, what appears to be the signature of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, are you familiar with that signature that appears there?
Yes.
And can you comment on that signature, whether it's something you have seen before?
Before today?
No, not before today, that just as a recognition that that is the handwriting or the signature of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson. That's what I mean.
Yes.
Okay. Could Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, could he read and write?
Yes.
Now, in respect of that document, are you familiar with the name that appears as a witness? Shawnette Scott? Do you know that name or person?
No.
Now, this document, you have shared it with the Commission of Inquiry to show us what it is in aid of what?
It was given to my grandfather's niece and revoking the two stepchildren's power of attorney within a short period of time, which in our opinion demonstrated that he was not happy with the stepchildren having power of attorney.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, you made mention of a document earlier, and on your list of documents, you mentioned Virginia Beach Durable General Power of Attorney.
Yes.
I'm showing you a document. Could you assist me to indicate whether you recognize it? Is that the document that you supplied to the Commission of Inquiry, Durable General Power of Attorney of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson?
Yes.
And the document Grave indulgence. It's dated the 27th of May 2004.
Yes. 20. Yes.
Madam Chair, my application is that the document which is now projected on the screen, which is titled Durable General Power of Attorney. It is dated the 27th day of May 2004. My application is that a document is tendered and admitted as Exhibit JR5.
So the document, it says Virginia Beach Durable General Power of Attorney, dated the 27th of May, 2004, is hereby entered as Exhibit JR5.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Robinson, I'm just going to ask you to read the first paragraph for me. It's a little long, but I'm just going to ask you just to take your time and read it for me.
I, Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, make this durable general power of attorney, appointing Barbara Gibbons Creed, acting alone, my true and lawful attorney in fact. In the event of death or incapacity of my named attorney in fact, Barbara Gibbons Creed, or if she is unwilling or unable to serve, I appoint my daughters, Albertha R. Green and Caroline L. Furbert, either of whom may act alone as my successor, attorney in fact, who shall have all the powers and authority hereunder as if my successor, attorney in fact, was originally designated as my attorney in fact. In the absence of actual knowledge to the contrary, any person to whom my successor, attorney in fact, presents this power of attorney may rely on an affidavit executed by my successor, attorney in fact, setting forth that my attorney in fact has died, is incapacitated, or is unwilling or unable to serve. My attorney in fact is authorized to act for me and in my name and place to transact, handle, and manage all of my property, affairs, and business of every kind and wherever situated, whether in the United States or in a foreign country, and as effectually as I could do if personally present and acting, including but not limited to the powers listed below, it being my intention by this power of attorney to commit to my attorney in fact the entire management, care, and control of my personal and business affairs, and that this power of attorney be interpreted in the most comprehensive sense.
Yes. Could you continue reading for me to read the next 4 lines for me?
This power of attorney is effective upon execution. This power of attorney shall not be affected by my subsequent disability or incapacity. This power of attorney shall be governed by the laws of Virginia. I hereby revoke all powers of attorney I have previously executed.
Now, sir, to your knowledge, Sir Robinson, this document was executed in Virginia.
Correct.
And that is outside of Bermuda.
Correct.
Now, in effect, just by way of chronology before I ask my question, what you have referred us to is a number of exhibits, one with a power of attorney dated 6th August 2003, another power of attorney dated 15th October 2003, and the 15th October 2003 document you just provided a comment to us that, in my words, there was the intention of your grandfather was to remove his stepdaughters having power of attorney. That's in respect of the 15th October 2003. But this Virginia document dated 24th May 2004, it had the effect of making who power of attorney?
The stepchildren.
Again. Now, is there any comment you wish to make about this document which you have submitted to the Commission of Inquiry and upon which you wish the commissioners to place some reliance?
The power of attorney, this power of attorney was questioned or challenged by our family, and we was pursuing it through Wakefield Quinn to see if it was legitimate. Okay.
And I'm just going to ask you to just repeat that word. It's Wakefield Quinn.
Wakefield Quinn.
And that is a law firm.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. Now, you had mentioned earlier in your statement, the statement which is JR2, Exhibit JR2. You had mentioned that there were 3 documents.
Correct.
And you had made specific reference, that there were 3 letters prepared by Dennis Dwyer. Is Mr. Dennis Dwyer an attorney, a lawyer?
Yes.
And you had engaged Mr. Dwyer for the purpose of having a look at this power of attorney, this Virginia power of attorney dated 27th May 2004. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, having engaged the lawyer, 3 documents, 3 letters were written by the lawyer on your behalf. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a document dated 25th of May 2012 on the letterhead of Wakefield Quinn. Is that one of the documents that you submitted to the Commission of Inquiry in support of your claim, and further to support that you had engaged a law firm to write on behalf of the estate of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson Sr., and you were challenging the validity of this power of attorney dated May 27, 2004?
Yes.
Okay. Going to ask her that document, which is dated the 25th of May 2012, Madam Chair. Just for completeness, just to distinguish it, because there are three of them, Madam Chair, this document also has in the top right-hand corner the letters Exhibit V. I'm just trying to distinguish it because there are three letters like this. So it's a letter dated.
So the letter
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
the letter is dated.
It's dated the 25th of May, 2012. It's on the letterhead of Wakefield Quinn. And I just wish to distinguish that at the top right-hand corner, it has the word Exhibit D. I'd ask that it is tendered and admitted as Exhibit JR6.
The letter dated 25th of May 2012, which has been tendered and entered as Exhibit JR6.
Thank you very much.
You had indicated, Counsel, that in the right-hand corner, did you say a notation Exhibit?
D.
C.
D.
E.
D. Madam.
D as in dog?
D for Delta or D as dog.
Okay, thank you. So entered. JR6.
Sir Robbins, could you just read the letter for me, please?
Sure. Dear sirs,
No, I'm just going to ask you to start with the letter, the address, the person to whom it is addressed. If you just start there for me, please. Beneath the date.
the Registry General, 4th floor, Government Administration Building, 30 Parliament Street, Hamilton, HM12. Dear sirs, R.E. Frederick L. Hendrickson, Sr., Power of Attorney, registered 15th of November, 2004. We have been consulted by the relatives of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, Sr., and we have ascertained that there has been registered on the above date the durable General Power of Attorney prepared in the United States and dated 23rd of February 2005. Please be advised that our client contests the validity of this power of attorney and that its effect does not revoke the previous power of attorney dated 15th of October 2003 in favor of Betty Ravine Hendrickson Birch, which was duly registered on 15th of January 2004. Steps will be taken to apply to the Supreme Court under the provisions of the Power of Attorneys Act 1944 under Section 11. Yours faithfully, Wakefield Quinn Limited, Dennis Dwight.
Thank you very much. Now, another letter, same date, the 25th of May 2012, is being shown to you. So is that the second of three letters that you referred to earlier in your statement?
Yes.
Written on your behalf, on your instigation. Now that letter, Madam Chair, is dated the 25th of May 2012. It is on the letterhead of Wakefield Quinn. At the top right-hand corner, it has the word Exhibit V. My application is that it is tendered and admitted as Exhibit JR7.
So the letter, another letter dated the 25th of May, 2012, and the distinguishing feature, you say the top right-hand corner has the notation exhibit
V.
B. Victory. B and victory.
Oh, V. Okay, thank you. Is hereby entered as Exhibit JR7.
Thank you very much. Mr. Robinson, could you just read that letter for me, please?
The principal, Elder Hermker Senior Residence, 3 Northridge Crescent, Devonshire, DV 05. Dear Sirs, regarding Frederick Leonard Hendrickson Sr., we have been consulted by the son and other relatives of the above named, who we understand was recently admitted to your facility. We understand that access has been denied to him by our clients. We understand that Carol Ann L. Ferbert purports to give instructions pursuant to a power of attorney. Please be advised that this power of attorney is being contested by the family, and steps will be taken to have this appointment revoked. Our clients are also concerned that the best interests of the above named are not being catered for, and our clients not only insist that they be allowed access to their father, but there is full disclosure of his physical and mental condition, and the attending doctor and physician also be made available to our clients to explain his current diagnosis and ongoing treatment. Please respond by return. Yours faithfully, Wakefield Crane Limited, Dennis Dwyer.
Thank you. Madam Chair, just at this stage, pause to ask that an adverse notice could be issued to Carol Ann L. Ferbert.
Do we have a redress counsel?
I crave.
Caroline Ferbert?
That I will need to ascertain, Madam Chair.
Very well. I've made the order, counsel.
Before you conclude, Madam Chair, the name Alberta.
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 I think it's all part of this.
Alberta. Okay. ALBERTHA. Harris Green. Also ask that an adverse notice is issued to that named person also.
Yes.
Before you make your order, Madam Chair, I'd just like to ask the witness a question. The name Mr. Robinson, Alberta Harris Green, Jack is that a married name, Jack?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's Harris Green.
Harris Green. Harris Green.
Green with an E on the end, Greene.
Okay.
But there's a person is married, surname Jack.
/ Jack. Any other? Just the two?
At this time.
Okay. Very well. I make the order as prayed, counsel.
Thank you very much.
That the adverse notice be issued to Carol Ann Ferbert and also Alberta G. Harris Green / Jack. And I suspect before the witness leaves, he'll assist us with the addresses of these individuals.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
And it's Green.
Spell it for me, please.
Greene.
Greene.
Yes, correct.
That's what I have.
Very
Thank you.
No, thank you. Now, Sir Robinson, you. Sir.
Counsel, if I may, there appears to be in the same vein of Barbara Gibbons Creed. Would they need to be notified as well?
Out of an abundance of caution, Mr. Stubble, I'll find out. Sir Robinson, in terms of Barbara Gibbons Creed, are you making any claim against that person? Or is it just...
That would be number 10.
Very well. Or is it just Caroline Ferbert, Alberta Harris Green, Jack, who you're making the claim against? Are you making the claim against anyone else?
Barbara Gibbons Creed is who was part of that power of attorney that's being challenged.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd ask that Barbara Gibbons Creed, Barbara Gibbons, Gibbons, Creed, Creed. Thank you, Mr. Stubble. That
No problem.
that named person is added also on an adverse notice made.
And that is Barbara Yvonne
Gibbons, no, Barbara Gibbons.
Gibbons. Okay. I make the order.
Creed. C-R-E-E-D. Barbara Gibbons Creed.
Creed. I make the order as prayed that an adverse notice be issued against this individual as well. And again, Mr. Robinson, we'll ask you to assist us with supplying the addresses as soon as you're able.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, taking you back, sir, you had mentioned earlier that 3 documents were written on behalf of the estate of Leonard Frederick Robinson by the firm Wakefield Quinn.
Yes.
A document is being shown to you. Is that the 3rd document that you referred to, sir?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'm asking that document on the letterhead of Wakefield Quinn, dated the 25th of May, 2012. It has at the right top hand corner the word Exhibit U. I'd ask that be tender admitted as Exhibit JR8.
The document on the letterhead of Wakefield Quinn, dated the 25th of May, 2012, is hereby entered as Exhibit JR8.
And just to reference that this one has the word Exhibit U.
Exit U. Thank
Exhibit
you.
U at the top right-hand corner.
Uncle, yes.
Could you please read that document for me, Mr. Robbins?
Linda R. Simons, Legal Aid Administrator Assistant, Legal Aid Office, second floor, Ingham Wilkinson Building, 129 Front Street, Hamilton, HM12. Dear Ms. Simons, Legal Aid Application for Leroy Frederick Robinson. We have been consulted by the above named who has passed to us your letter dated 11th of May 2012, in which he was advised that his legal aid application had been rejected. We would be grateful if you would kindly accept this letter as a formal appeal and ask the committee to revisit this application. It appears that the committee has assumed that Mr. Robinson is a member of the household where he resides, but this is not the case. The applicant's only source of income is the financial assistance of $1,027 per month he receives from government, plus his disability pension of $464.20. Out of this, he pays rent of $800 per month. It appears that the committee has wrongly taken into account the income and assets of the house owners where he resides as a tenant. The applicant has a valid legal complaint, and we have advised that if necessary, he should apply to the Supreme Court in respect of his father, Frederick Hendrickson Sr., either under Section 10 or 11 of the Power of Attorneys Act 1944, and or alternatively for the appointment of him as receiver under the provisions of the Mental Health Act 1974. Steps may also have to be taken under the Senior Abuse Register Act 2008. The applicant is totally dependent upon the state and has no interest financially or otherwise in the property in which he resides and pays rent. Yours faithfully, Rayfield Quinn, Dennis Dwyer.
Now, Mr. Robinson, this letter makes reference to legal aid application for Leroy Frederick Robinson.
Yes,
As far as you understand, is this in relation to your father or your grandfather?
my father.
Thank you. Now, in your statement, you make reference to a document that you, or documents you wish to rely on. One such is titled Supreme Court Document Probate Jurisdiction. You shared with the Commission of Inquiry two documents titled Supreme Court Document Probate Jurisdiction, sir.
Madam Chair, if I may, I have a question for you, Counsel. You moved so quickly on to the next item. On the previous document, the legal aid document,
Could we have the discussion?
it actually speaks to, I just want to get some verification or clarification. The name on that document says Leroy Frederick Robinson. Is that correct, or should it be Frederick Leroy Robinson?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, Leroy Frederick Robinson is his name.
Okay,
It's
Thank
his
you.
government.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tower. I think just to take you back, earlier the witness had indicated that his father's name had, I think on one occasion, initially it was Hendrickson, and he had caused it to be changed legally. He had given evidence earlier of that, so it was Hendrickson, it was Robinson.
Yeah, it wasn't the surname, it was the inversion of Fred L as opposed to L Frederick. So in this case, it's Leroy Frederick, but the senior was actually Frederick L.
Thank you. In respect of the Supreme Court document probate jurisdiction, I'm going to documents which you had shared with the Commission of Inquiry. I'm going to show you a document. Is that one of the documents that you had shared with the Commission of Inquiry, sir?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the document which is titled in the Supreme Court of Bermuda Probate Jurisdiction.
Yes.
In the estate of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson. In the estate of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson.
Yes.
AKA Fred Hendrickson.
That's in brackets, otherwise called AKA.
Yes, it is, Madam Chair. For your
AKA.
guidance, it's projected on the screen, Madam Chair.
Okay, AKA.
Fred Hendrickson, and also in bracket the word deceased. And below that the word caveat.
I see.
I'd ask that that document is tendered and admitted as Exhibit JR9.
And it has a notation. Any notation?
It has in the top right-hand
Exhibit S.
corner the word Exhibit S.
Yes. And you're seeking entering as Exhibit 9?
JR9,
JR9.
Madam.
So the document headed Supreme Court of Bermuda probate jurisdiction in the estate of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, aka Fred Hendrickson, deceased, caveat, with the notation Exhibit S is hereby entered as JR9.
Thank you, Madam. Could you read the document starting from the word caveat, please, Mr. Robinson?
Caveat, let no grant be sealed in the estate of Frederick Leonard Hendrickson, aka Fred Hendrickson, whose address was formerly 38 Clarendon Road, Hamilton Parish, FL04, and then Elder Hermker Senior Residence, 3 Northridge Crescent, Devonshire Parish, DV 05, both in the Isles of Bermuda, who died on the 7th day of November 2012 in Bermuda without notice to Justin W. Robinson, Wakefield Quinn Limited, Barristers and Attorneys, Victoria Place, 31 Victoria Street, Hamilton, HM10, dated this 9th day of October 2013.
No, and this is signed by the attorneys Wakefield Quinn Limited. You have shared this document with us. Why, sir?
When my grandfather passed away, it was advised that I submit caveats to bring notice so that if his property or estate is being probated, it would have to be referred back to myself.
Thank you. And in the document, which is Exhibit JR9, reference there to JR9, reference there to Justin W. Robinson, care of Wakefield Quinn Limited. That Justin W. Robinson, that is you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Going to show you another document, sir. Did you supply that document to the Commission of Inquiry in support of your claim on behalf of your grandfather? Document titled in the Supreme Court of Bermuda.
Yes.
Probate jurisdiction. In the estate of Leroy Frederick Robinson, aka Fred Robinson, deceased, caveat, this is a document that you supplied to the Commission of Inquiry, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'd ask that this document is tendered admitted as JR10. At the top right-hand corner of the document, the word exhibit and letter T appears.
The document, Supreme Court of Bermuda, probate jurisdiction, Leroy Frederick Robinson, aka Fred Robinson, deceased, caveat, in the upper right-hand corner, notation Exhibit T, is hereby entered as Exhibit JR10.
Thank you. Could you read that document, sir?
Caveat, let no grant be sealed in the estate of Leroy Frederick Robinson, aka Fred Robinson, whose address was 13 Crown Hill Lane, Devonshire Parish, DV01, in the Isles of Bermuda, who died on the 22nd day of August 2012 in Bermuda, without notice to Justin W. Robinson, Wakefield Quinn Limited, Barrister and Attorneys, Victoria Place, 31 Victoria Street, Hamilton, HM 10, dated this 9th day of October 2003, signed Wakefield Quinn Limited.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Robinson, in respect of your claim to the Commission of Inquiry, you supplied an extract from the Royal Gazette dated November 16, 2012, with the funeral notice for Frederick Leonard Hendrickson Sr. Did you?
Yes.
Going to show you a document, sir. Is that the document you supplied to the Commission of Inquiry, which is an extract from the Royal Gazette with a funeral notice?
Yes.
I'd ask, Madam Chair, that document is tendered and admitted as Exhibit JR 11.
The extract from the RG with the funeral notice for Frederick Hendrickson Jr. is hereby entered as Exhibit JR 11.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I think that's senior. I think that's senior.
Senior?
Yes, Frederick Hendrickson Sr.
Yes, it is. That's all.
Senior? Yes, sir.
Senior.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. I think then this, what did I see? This is incorrect, then. Is that the same person?
That's
So that's JR 11, Madam Chair.
It has been entered
Right.
as Exhibit JR 11.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Did you, Mr. Robinson, cause this to be placed in the Gazette, or did some other family member?
No, a family member. I would say most likely the stepchildren.
Could you just read it for me, please?
Is that the same one?
Sorry, just a minute.
That's the program.
Could you go ahead and read it for me, please, sir?
A service celebrating the life of Mr. Frederick Leonard Hendrickson Sr., beloved husband of the late Etoy Hendrickson, and loving father to Leroy Robinson, Carolyn Ferbert, and Albertha Burt Green Jack, in his 90th year of 38 Clarendon Road, Smiths Parish, FL04, will be held at Holy Trinity Anglican Church, Trinity Church Road, Bayless Bay, Hamilton Parish, on Saturday, November 17th, 2012 at 3 p.m. Interment will follow at Holy Trinity Cemetery. In lieu of flowers, donations may be sent to St. Luke AME Church's Building Fund, 13 Lighthouse Hill, St. David's, St. George's Parish, DD02, in his memory. Visitation, relatives and friends may pay their respects on Saturday only at Holy Trinity Hall, November 17th from 2 p.m. to 2:50 p.m. Also surviving are grandchildren Albert Harris Jr., Jabari Ferbert, Heather, Dwayne Robinson, Terry Lynn Robinson, Simone Balboa, Calvert Harvey, and Justin Robinson. Sister-in-law Edith Hendrickson, Rosalind Miners, Shirley Richardson, brother-in-law Warren Bubbles Richardson, special nephew Fabian Miners, special friends Barbara Creed of Seattle, Winfred and Sharon Felton of Virginia Beach, Roston Martin, Manders Ingham, Graham Talbot, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and friends of Bermuda and abroad, Special thanks to the Elder Herm Kerr and the doctors and nurses of King Edward Memorial.
Thank you very much. No. You also supplied to the Commission of Inquiry in support of your claim some other documents. I'm just going to take you through them one at a time.
Should be seen.
But before taking you through those documents, I'd like to draw your attention, Mr. Robinson, to a document consisting of 4 pages, typed pages, which you signed, dated February 1, 2021, in which you made some notes by way of clarification and expansion of what's contained in your statement.
Yes.
I'd like to draw your attention to that document. Is that the document that you signed February 1, 2021, and on which you wish to place reliance, some notes and clarification in respect of your claim?
Yes.
I'd ask Madam Chair that document, which consists of 4 pages, that it could be tendered and admitted as JR 12.
The document consisting of 4 pages dated February 1st. Start again. The document consisting of 4 pages dated February 1st, 2021, in which the claimant made notes, is tendered and hereby entered as Exhibit JR 12.
Ask that the witness be permitted to read the document.
She didn't give me a call. Thank you.
And these notes that you made, Mr. Robinson, I see referencing them to certain laws and other things. You did some research and made some notes. Okay, well, please go ahead and read it.
Frederick Leonard Hendrickson Sr., date of birth December 27th, 1922, date of death November 7th, 2012, late wife Etoy Blakeney, married 1954, stepdaughters Carolyn Ferbert, Albertha Harris Green, Jack, son Leroy Frederick McDonald Robinson, Date of birth, July 16, 1943. Date of death, August 22nd, 2012. Mother, Margaret Lorraine Robinson, deceased. Fred Sr. is known as House. Fred Jr. has been known as Fred Jr. since his birth and also as Little House. Fred Jr. has many legal documents from lawyers' wills and the Bank of Bermuda that refers to him as Fred Jr. Fred Sr.'s various powers of attorney. Power of attorney dated August 6, 2003, appointing Carolyn Ferbert and Albertha Rosetta Harris, revoking previous one done on March 30th, 1999, appointing Shirley Richardson, Fred Sr.'s sister-in-law. Power of attorney done by Wakefield Quinn on October 15th, 2003 to Betty Hendrickson Birch, Fred Sr.'s niece, revoking previous one done on August 6, 2003, appointing Carolyn Louise Ferbert and Albertha Harris Green, stepdaughters. Power of attorney done in Virginia Beach, Virginia by Barbara Gibbons Creed on May 23, 2004, given back to Albertha R. Green and Carolyn Ferbert, registered in Bermuda November 15, 2004. Sonia Grant, lawyer, refers to 4 properties that he owned in Virginia. Proof of father, 235, Section 181(1) of the Children's Act 1998. The person has been found or recognized in his lifetime by a court in Bermuda to be the father of the child. Powers of attorney and wills. Similar rules of legal capacity apply to donors of power of attorney as applied to testamentary capacity. Wills, testamentary capacity, or undue influence. Attachments. Virginia Beach Power of Attorney, dated May 27, 2004. Power of Attorney dated October 15, 2003. Power of Attorney dated August 6, 2003. Wakefield Quinn letter to Elder Home Care residents, May 25, 2012. Wakefield Quinn letter to Registry General, May 25, 2012. Wakefield Quinn letter to Legal Aid Office, May 25, 2012. Death notice for Fred Hendrickson Sr. in the Royal Gazette. Obituary for Fred Hendrickson Sr. in the Royal Gazette. Funeral program for Fred Hendrickson Sr. Funeral program for Fred Hendrickson Jr. Supreme Court document in the name of Frederick Leroy Hendrickson Jr. Proof of father, 235, Section 181(1) of the Children's Act 1988. I think I double wrote this. Fred Sr.'s 2 stepdaughters, Carolyn Ferbert and Albertha Green, have kept his Hendrickson family, including his son, Fred Jr., away from him as much as possible over the years. Fred Sr.'s grandson, Justin Robinson, went with 2 Hendrickson cousins to see his grandfather at 38 Clarendon Road in Flats. He was turned away by Carolyn Ferbert, who said his grandfather was in the bathroom sleeping. As we were leaving the yard, she came outside and said he did want to see us, and it was obvious that he hadn't been sleeping. She stayed in the room to listen to the conversation. Once Fred Jr. regained his ability to function in the world after his stroke, him and Justin visited Fred Sr. when he was living in an apartment in one of his houses nearby his main house in Flats. In conversation, Fred Jr. asked his father for $500,000 to help support him and his wife. Fred Sr. said he would be able to help once he got his settlement from the Arnold court case. Fred Sr. and his nephew, Harry Henderson Jr., visited Fred Jr. at our North Shore Road apartment to see how Fred was doing and talk about the Hendrickson apartments on Dundonald Street. Prior to Fred Jr.'s massive stroke in February 1987, him and Fred Sr. were doing construction business together. They had an ongoing relationship. Fred Jr. took 10 years to recover from his massive stroke. For several years, he was unable to communicate due to his speech impediments and unable to use his right arm or walk properly. April 23, 2012, Fred Jr., Vera Betty Hendrickson Birch, and Marianne Lindsay, Fred Sr.'s niece, met with Deborah Correa to express their concerns about the treatment of Fred Sr., who had been left at the Elder Home Care facility in Devonshire. As per a Hendrickson relative that works at the Mid-Atlantic Wellness Facility, Fred Sr. was taken there from his home and flats by the police in handcuffs, and his stepdaughter tried to have him committed. The facility said that Fred Sr. was of sound mind, so she then took him to the Elder Care facility in Devonshire and left him there. When she came to see him, he became violent and enraged so that she never returned to see him. He was distraught that he had no access to a telephone or any means to contact anyone. In anger, he would push his furniture against the door in his room so that staff were unable to get in. When one of his Hendrickson nieces was working at the home, he told her that he had been duped by his stepdaughter when she left him there, and he wanted to see his son and wanted to go home. Ms. Trott, the supervisor at the Elder Care facility, told any friends or relatives that came by that they could not see Fred Sr. as per his two daughters. Fred Jr. went twice to the home and was turned away by Ms. Trott. Fred and his wife went to see Fred Sr. on May 7th, and Ms. Trott expressed surprise that he had a son and many other Hendrickson family members. Fred Jr. and his father, Fred Sr., had a good visit. Of course, his dad expressed to him that he wanted him to take him back to his own home. Fred Jr.'s wife, Vera, called Caroline Fredbert on several occasions, but she never answered the phone. Fred Sr.'s grandson, Justin, went with his father, Fred, to the home the next week, but he was told by Miss Trott that he could not see him. After a phone call to Miss Trott, he was told that he could see him, but Justin was too distressed by what Miss Trott had said to him. Early May 2012, Fred Jr. and his wife Vera submitted an application to legal aid so that Fred could pursue his concern that his father had been left at the Elder Care facility in Devonshire, as he felt he was more than capable of living in his own home with a caregiver. Even though Fred's only income was financial assistance, legal aid turned down the application based on his wife's income. May 25, 2012, Fred Jr. and his wife Vera Betty Birch and Marianne Lindsay met with Dennis Dwyer and Deborah Correa of Winfield Quinn. 3 letters were done by Dennis Dwyer as per attached copies. The first was to Elder Home Care facility expressing his son and other family members' concerns that he had been left there and advising them that the power of attorney that Caroline Fredbert was using is not valid. The second letter was to the Registry General to question the power of attorney for his stepdaughter Caroline Fredbert that was done in America and refers to his business and 4 homes in Virginia. The third letter was to legal aid to question why Fred Jr.'s application had been turned down. September 20th, Wakefield Quinn, Deborah Correa, for their client Marianne Lindsay, Fred Sr.'s niece, a letter was sent to the victims unit at the police department referring to elder abuse. However, when we called recently, the victims unit said they had not received the report. Shortly after Fred Jr.'s death, his wife, Vera, called Caroline Fredbert to say that Fred Sr. had told his son that he would help him with cash and a property since Vera had just been retired by the company she worked for. Caroline was flustered and said she was having difficulty paying her own mortgage and she would have to speak to her sister in Canada. A week later, Vera called again and left a message on an answering machine. There was no response from Caroline, but the next day, Alberta Green called from Canada and said Vera was to stop contacting them. Fred Jr. passed away at home on August 22nd after a visit to his father at Elder Kirkham, along with his wife Vera and his two nieces, Betty Ann Hendrickson and Mary Ann Lindsay. During that visit, Fred Sr. was adamant that Fred Jr. needed to bring a truck and collect his furniture and take him to this home.
Thank you. Now, you had also provided to the Commission of Inquiry an extract of the obituary for Frederick Leonard Hendrickson Sr.
Yes.
I'm going to show you a document, and you could indicate if this is a document you supplied to the Commission of Inquiry. Is that the document you supplied to us, sir? An extract from the obituary
Yes.
for Frederick Leonard Hendrickson Sr.?
Yes.
Thank you. Going to ask Madam Chair that is tender admitted as Exhibit JR 13.
How do we characterize it, Counsel?
Obituary.
An extract from the obituary
That is correct, Madam Chair.
of Frederick
Leonard Hendrickson Sr. Old House. In bracket, Old House, as he was referred to and known as.
Okay.
Little House's father. But that's not on the document.
And so we're entering it as JR 13?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Could I just ask you to read the first 5 paragraphs for me, please?
Well, for the record, Counsel, it's so entered as JR 13.
Thank you very much.
Frederick Oldhouse Leonard Hendrickson Sr., the son of the late James and Jemima Hendrickson, was born on December 27, 1922, and went to rest on November 7, 2012. Fred was predeceased by his beloved wife, Etoy Hendrickson, brothers Ernest, Cecil, Ivan, Charles, and Arnold, and sisters Olive, Mabel, Celeste, and June. Fred spent his early childhood at Government Gate in Pembroke. He attended Central School and Central Tech in Toronto, Canada. In 1954, Fred married Etoy Blakeney, the love of his life. It was a union that lasted 40 years. Fred lived a very fulfilling life, with he and his wife Etoy having traveled extensively in the USA, the Caribbean, Europe, and Asia. Above all else, he made many trips to Toronto, Canada to visit his daughter Bert and grandson Albert Jr. Frederick Leonard Hendrickson was a war veteran who never left our shores. He served the cause of freedom gallantly by leading his local troops in patrolling the eastern region of Bermuda, in particular Hamilton Parish. No doubt, being the no-nonsense person that he was, our honoring him is all the better for his service. Unlike many other war veterans who have gone before him, Fred lived long enough to witness recognition being given to his sterling contribution to the preservation of freedom. Fred's contribution and the contribution of all Bermudians, whether serving overseas or locally, is now permanently memorialized with the fitting of War Memorial on the eastern side of the Cabinet Building grounds on Front Street. The memorial bears his name.
You may continue.
Following the Second World War, Frederick Leonard Hendrickson was caught up in the Gordon movement, which was sweeping the country. The Gordonite that he was part and parcel of the team that caused Dr. Edgar Fitzgerald Gordon to be swept into the House of Parliament representing the parish of St. George's in 1946. A family album clearly depicts Fred's efforts with a photograph of a family member's car bearing license plate number P7914 and the slogan, "We want Gordon, vote, plump, plump, plump." Nonetheless, Oldhouse was a family man, an excellent provider for his family. Together with his wife Etoy, they clearly recognized that in order to prepare their daughters for the future, Carol Ann and Bert had to receive a good education. This was accomplished moreover. The dynamic duo of husband and wife, Fred and Etoy, underscored with their daughters that they would be successful, but there would be the need for a lot of hard work. As a husband and father, Fred was always full of surprises, with one of his biggest surprises for his family being the purchase of a cabin cruiser. He loved being on the water, in calm seas or rough seas, and he spent many summer days with family and friends aboard his large cabin cruiser. We look forward to our annual trip to Nonsuch Island on the second day of Cup Match, says Carol Ann and Bert. What also stands out in their minds is their father navigating his way into Bartels Cove in the daytime or nighttime. Fred had a very special relationship with his grandsons Albert Harris and Jabari Furbert and his nephew Fabian Miners. He taught them to swim in the pool he built, and he spent many hours talking to them about his life experiences and encouraging them to be upstanding men and citizens. Throughout his life, and particularly while resident in Bermuda, Frederick Leonard Hendrickson blazed a trail as one of Bermuda's most outstanding master builders, creating many, many homes for Bermudians. Fred was exceptional for not just the homes that he built, but for the financial assistance that he was able to secure from many Bermudians. He took his clients to the bank for them, too.
I had indicated it was an extract, Chair, but that's where it ends.
Could you repeat that,
No,
Council?
I had indicated it was an extract, and I'm just indicating that it seems that it has ended abruptly, but I'm just indicating why I'd refer to the exhibit as an extract.
And your position is it is not?
No, it is.
It is.
Yes,
But
that's
I
why,
do have
because it ends
entered
abruptly.
Extract from the obituary,
Correct.
yes, as Exhibit JR 13.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes. Madam Chair, we have a little way to go. We have been sitting for just a little under 2 hours. And to ask that the adjournment could be taken now.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. Who wants to adjourn now? Thanks. And when will we resume? Council?
We could resume at 1:20.
1:20, or let's say 1:30.
Very well.
Okay. Give you 10 minutes. All right.